So the next thing is you can use import Python library by specifying a specific library over here. Okay, and then for example, you can either upload the Python library files into a S3 bucket and call it, or maybe you can call it here. So Glue will automatically go to PyPy to download the libraries. Okay, and here you have the job parameters. So job parameters, you are allowed to kind of like set out parameters to make your code more parameterized, because you don't need to hard code all the values or path inside your script. You can save your job parameters here and then call it from the script. I can do a video about it in the next later, but not now. So here is all the job details, and then let's try and save it and run it. Okay, so when you click on run, you will see the job run. It creates a line of job details with the status, retry, start time, end time, etc. And you will see a quite detailed information on over here. Okay, and then you can refresh the job runs over here. Okay, the good thing with this new interface is if you click on the continuous log, it might take a few minutes to pop up, but it is showing the live CloudWatch log that is created. So this is kind of like a recent features, because previously if you want to check on the log, you will need to manually go to CloudWatch and then find that particular job ID to read the logs. But here they put it straight away here, so it is quite good. So first, okay, you can see the job has failed. So this is something I expected. So if we read on the log, so you can, over the CloudWatch log, you can check all logs, output log, or error logs. However, here it will print you one of the main logs. So here it says access denied. So access denied, the first thing you would think of is, do you have the right permission to do what you want to do with your script? So the first thing I can check is job details. And then I check on the IAM row, demo glue IAM row. I go to IAM, and then I check on this row, and I can see that I don't have the right permission. I don't have any permission at all. So what I can do here is to add the permission here. Right, so let's think about what kind of permission we need. So the first thing, I want to get a file from S3. So if I search from S3, I will need to read from the S3 and then process it and write it back. So in this case, I will just use S3 full access, but in the production level, you will need to have more specific permission, because you want to follow the least privilege principle to ensure you have only the minimum permission to execute your job. Right, so I add this one. And I will need to add another permission, which is the Glue job permission, Glue console permission, and service role. Okay. So basically, the reason I have this two permission is that as the Glue service is running, it will need a permission to execute a role. So we need to have it added to this particular role, and then we can rerun the job over here to see if it works. Okay, so let's rerun it again. Okay. And now you can see with the right permission, the job has been succeeded. Okay, so if we go to the S3 bucket, check on the Glue target 2, you will see the latest data got created here. Again, using the S3 select, CSV, comma, A. So you will see the data has been processed correctly into a CSV file. So this is basically how you execute a Glue job, right? So you can see, you can first using the crawlers, and then the data catalog, database tables, and also Glue job and IAM to have a good cover of the whole Glue service. So now let's have a look of the scheduling part of Glue job. So you can see here you got the schedule section over here where you can try to create a trigger. So you can create the script, for example, trigger demo 2, and then you can select how frequently this trigger will trigger the job to execute. For example, if I choose weekly, and then I can select which particular date, start our example Monday, then I can create a schedule. Okay, right, because this name has already exists, so if I create demo 3, there you see there's another trigger here. But if you want to remove it, you can just select it, action, and delete the schedule. Another way to schedule or to orchestrate the ETL jobs is using the AWS Glue workflow. So you can see here you got the workflow selection. So it is meant for orchestration. So what is a Glue workflow? So if I click on one of the example, you can see Glue workflow is basically where you specify the sequence or the orders multiple jobs need to be executed. So for example, here I start with a very simple trigger. So if I click on the trigger, I will see trigger type is on demand. Well, when you create a trigger, you can say it to be triggered on a daily, on an hourly basis. So it means when I here is on, the trigger will only be executed when I ask it to run, and then when it runs, it will trigger a particular job to run, execute. So in this case, it's the demo 01, and also I can add multiple different, for example, different job. It means the multiple jobs can run in parallel, and then when this job is finished, it will again create another trigger, and then trigger a second job. Okay, so if you click on each one, you can add multiple trigger, and each trigger can trigger multiple Glue job, and then this is how you create this workflow. So for example, if you set this trigger to be on a daily basis, and then when the hour arrive, it will trigger everything from upstream to downstream with a very specific sequence. Okay, so this will make sure job number 2 doesn't run before number 1 got created. So it is more on the event based trigger than the time based trigger, like the cron job. So because, for example, you're in this particular case, if Glue job 2 is using the output of Glue job 1 as the input, we must make sure Glue job 1 completes before execute number 2. So if we are using a time-based trigger, sometimes if number 1 fail, and when the specific time arrive, Glue job 2 will still be executed, but it will fail because the input from Glue job 1 doesn't exist because number 1 failed. So this workflow is create more on the event base. So if we realize Glue job 1 fail, and it will not trigger any of the downstream job. So it will also protect you from having multiple error, and you will, using the workflow diagram, you will know what went wrong at what specific time. So it is a good tools to orchestrate your job, the changes. So let's move back to Glue job. As you can see here you can see you have a function. You are creating a dynamic frame from this particular source data, and then what you are using a function is from catalog. So you specify the database and the table name, which is the schema data type, from where you want this data to fit in. Yeah, because this catalog has already run against this data, so it has all the schema ready for Glue to use. And then basically I can write this data then into my target path. Okay, so So let's move on to the next section, which is the job detail. So job detail here, when you do any changes on Glue job, please remember to click on save. So if not, everything that you change, if you refresh the page, it will be lost. Okay, and then you can click on job detail. Here, one important thing is to have the correct IAM role. So this role also allows you to, it must have a particular permission for you to get the data from a particular data source like S3, and also the permission to execute the AWS Glue job itself, and also write data to S3, or maybe connect to Redshift if that is your target data location. And then here, these are the things that you can choose. So I think it is always best to go for the latest Glue version, which support the latest Spark engine. And then you can choose your language, whether you want to write it in Python or Scala. Okay, and then in terms of the worker type, it depends on the number of data that you want to process or how complex the computation will be. You can choose different kind of like worker, and then you can choose the number of worker if you want it to be processed fast, and then you can add the number of workers. But for sure, with with the numbers of worker increasing, the cost will also be increased. So you need to find a kind of like a balance between the two. So by doing certain fine tuning or try and error. Right, and then you can set the number of retries. So if this job fail, do you want it to run an automatic retry, or you don't want it to do it? So the reason some people don't want to do it is because if you retry a job, it might reprocess the data twice and then create duplicates in your target database, etc. Okay, and then on the advanced properties, you will be able to see where this script is stored, because since it's a fully managed services, the script itself is kind of like a store somewhere in S3 path, but this is not something you need to worry too much. And then you can enable all this logging and monitoring on CloudWatch, which is enabled by default, I think. And then set things like concurrency, connection, etc. Okay, I think I've covered a very basic of AWS Glue. So if you like my video, please give it a like, and then subscribe to my video and share the video. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.